Welcome to Noor Podcast, your guide to the underground community in Eastern Europe and its surrounding places. For constant updates, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. Today, we are at Eva Porating home, where we will dive into her music career as an organizer, artist, and being a record shop owner. We will also gain some insight into her experience in the scene before and after the COVID.
Hey, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
We'd like to know actually everything about you, but we don't have so much time. So we're trying to get into a bit your music life and your background here in Prague. So you can
Yeah.
give us.
Sure. Sure. So it all started back in Slovakia. With music, I've been involved since I can remember, but as we are talking about like active playing and being some part of some projects and scene, with me it started when I was 15 years old. I was given my first bass guitar for my 15th birthday. And I started to go to the music school at first, but I didn't really want to learn notes, so my teacher was kind of like frustrated by my approach, and he was like, what shall we do here? Just go and have bands. So that's what I did, and I had several of them.
So no teacher, just you teaching yourself.
Yeah, what I did was like I brought a cassette of Smashing Pumpkins, and I would just prepare the whole like bass line through a few tracks, and I would just play for him, and he was like, "Wow, you're really great, but like you don't want to learn notes, so what shall we do?" Yeah, so his advice actually was the best way for me, and I really went straight into it and had several projects. I think 5 bands during.
Was 5 bands.
No, like I mean, from when I was 15 till maybe 19. So in 4 years, but some of the projects were happening at the same time. Because I'm from a small town and there was literally nothing to do, so we just had bands.
So you already started touring pretty early in your life?
Yeah, my one of the bands was pretty successful because guys already had a band before, and it was called Super Apes, our projects, and I was singing there actually. And yeah, I experienced stuff like touring and recording an album at the age of 17. I can actually show you our album that was released at that time, and we recorded it. Yeah, it was total DIY. I actually did the graphics. I draw everything and then I like scanned it and adjust it in Adobe. So it was yeah. Yeah, so it was really fun.
And this is like the lyrics of the songs, or
Yeah, there are lyrics, there are some thanks to some people and groups that we played with, that people that supported us and so on.
And what's the name of the album?
It's just Super Apes. It's the same like the band name.
And people can find this online somewhere, or just like...
Oh, I think actually maybe the name of it was Animal Songs, if I'm right. Yeah, it's not written here, but maybe officially, as it's 20 years ago, I think it's one or another.
We'll try to find it and put
Actually, the whole album is on YouTube. You can really like type Super Apes, maybe hardcore punk or something like that, and you can have a listen. It's very short. Also, our concert would have like half an hour because it was fast and furious. Like more went into crust, and I was like screaming a lot. So the whole thing has really 20 something minutes.
Do you ever play this music now in your sets, or you?
Actually, Actually, yeah, I recently, because my close friend from Čadca is a painter, and whenever he has a vernissage here in Prague, he invites me to play. And as we have this background in common, and I still have the records, I would prepare, just like bring the records with me and play them. So I did it, I don't know, maybe 2 months ago last time, and it's super fun. Like, I really loved it to play like this kind of music, just like listening of the bands that we used to like.
Yeah, and then afterwards, you just staying in Slovakia, or you already moved to Czech Republic?
I moved to Brno because I started the university. After my high school. Also, at the same time, this group kind of ended because some guys were 10 years older than me, and two of them had babies.
Okay.
And so it already, like, they didn't have time, it was already ending because of that. And I also got to university to Brno. I started studying special education and English, but I never finished it. It's another story. But that got me to Brno and to electronic music, basically.
And like you when you went to Brno, you were trying to be still like playing bass in a band, or you just got into electronic music already?
I didn't take my bass with me, but I was hoping to meet some people and to continue with that. But it was kind of like it shouldn't have happened. I don't know. I didn't find the right people to continue with the punk bands. So I was thinking how to go on with music because I missed it. I missed as it was such a part of my life. So then I was thinking maybe I will just start to buy records and start to learn how to play. So I discovered this record store. At that time, it was called Maximum Underground, and bought my first records there.
From Brno, this was in Brno.
Mm-hmm. That was all in Brno, yes.
And from there you started already going in the scene, kind of.
I was going to still some like guitar concerts, still hardcore punk, but also some friends were involved in electronic music. For example, like dub scene was kind of happening at that time, and I don't know, some techno, breakbeat, or stuff like that. So I discovered step by step also the electronic music, and I was just buying the records for myself. Like, I was just like dreaming about playing, but it was not something that I would work hard on. It's just, I think if there is something like a fate in our life, definitely music is my fate, because it's always been like part of my life very naturally.
So you just like till this time you were having no gigs as DJ, just like trying to.
No, just really buying first records. I already, before you came, I was thinking about the first records that I ever bought at this Maximum Underground store, and I found this one, which is Aaron Specta. Music is the weapon, and say more fire. And so that was 2007, yeah. And also I found Sabina Circular and Chemical Waste on Immigrant Records.
And this record shop still exists, or it's closed?
I think it's not happening. There were two branches. One was actually in Prague and one in Brno. Mm-hmm. And I think they ended. I'm not 100% sure, but I haven't heard the name for quite a while.
It's 2002?
This one, I'm not sure, is it? No, I think it was 2007, 8, something like that.
And you got your first gig in Brno, or you start playing with some friends, or how did it happen to you?
So my friend knew that I am collecting records, And after 2 years in Brno, I went to UK for a 6 months trip. I was working there as I left the university, as I found out it's not something for me. So in UK, I also was visiting the record store. At that time, there were like 5 of them just on Berwick Street, so I would go there during the weekends, and I bought like some small selection, or I don't know, few records there, and brought them back because after these 6 months, I realized I want to get back to Brno, but to find a job and to start more with music. So I had some selection of records, and as my friend knew about it, he invited me to play.
I remember we talked about the UK trip. You told me the funny story about fabric.
Yeah.
You entered and how you saw the place.
Yeah.
Like, how long was this ago? Like, how long ago from now?
I think that was 2009.
It's like the peak of fabric when everything was
Probably, yeah. I really wanted to go there. Rasco was playing that night and Tesla Rock. And I was like, yeah, I need to check it out, even though I was not like clubbing there. I was living outside of London. But for this event, I was in touch with one girl from Czech that I met in Brno, and we arranged that we will meet in front of Fabric and we will go there together. So I went, but there were no smartphones actually. So I took my map and headed to Fabric, but I don't know how this happened. But I went through some different entry than the other. So I don't know, some for employees or VIP or whatever. I got there and the guy at the entry was like, ticket, and I was like, I don't have any. And he was like, okay, go. So I went in. I actually bought the ticket, but I didn't wait any time. So I got there, bought the ticket, and then I was waiting for my friend there. And as there were no smartphones, I just wrote her a text like, I'm here waiting for you. She replied like, yeah, I'm waiting in the line outside of the club, so I will, when I get there, we will meet. But I had no clue like what she's talking about. So I was standing there and waiting for her for 1 hour and then 2 hours. And then someone approached me, like a guy who was asking me like, hey, are you okay? Like you're standing here for 2 hours. And that happened to be a manager of Fabric that saw that saw me there, and I explained my situation. I think I got ran out of credit or some situation with the phone, and he was like, you know what? I want to help you. Let's get to find your friend and get her in. So we went outside of the club, and then I discovered there is like 100 people in the line. I was like, whoa, I didn't know about that. So we were thinking about how to find her in the queue. So the only thing was that I borrowed his phone and explained to her and asked her to just raise her hand and just to wave so we can see her at least in the queue. And so then that's how we could find her. So she was stuck in the queue. He pulled out the things and brought her out from there and got us in. So it was super special and very nice moment for us. So we got into the club, but the first visit at Fabric, it was basically just excursion for me. It was not partying. It was just different world for me, but I was super excited to experience that.
It was your first time in a club like this?
Big like this. Before, I only been to, I don't know, Cross Club here in Prague was at that time, and Brno, Fleda and Faval.
So yeah, it's like completely different from what was happening.
Yeah. So it was really like interesting.
And then you went back to Brno.
Yeah.
You started already. You was your friend. You were saying now.
Yeah. So Peťa Vodník, he was DJing for some time, and he liked my selection. He was actually really into this early dubstep, so he was organizing some smaller events in Brno, and he invited me to join them and to play. So my first gig was at Fleda at the bar stage, dubstep, yeah. But I had some selection, some like Aaron Spectated, some break or breakbeat or something like that. And I also had some like hip hop and stuff like that. Like I had some colorful selection of vinyls, and I didn't know how to mix. And at that time, every mixer was different, so I got totally confused every time I would stand there. Just like first part of the set, I was just trying to figure out like what button does what. So.
I think it's good by that time that you even had a mixer.
Yeah. No CDJs though.
So you had like already your first gig and you just kind of started from there?
Yeah, it was going slowly one by one. At that time, it was one gig in few months,
And like this is around the time when you started the legendary Moi event?
Yeah, I think around that time I met Pepi and Philip Shea, and we became friends and started Muach as a small record store at Sklenjena Louka, which is a building.
Oh, so you already had your own record shop by that?
It was connected to a cafe that Pepi used to run, and on the upper floor there was a small room that we rented, and we started like this little shop. And we hang out at the cafe, and there were also like turntables, so we would have some listening sessions there, also some gigs. We used to play there, and then just like this little store also appeared from.
Like DJ's dream come true.
Yeah, it was super sweet. Like I was, so young and full of enthusiasm, and like I totally knew, like that is something that I really want to do. So I was super happy that it was really like manifesting in this nice way.
And so you guys started doing Moi in Brno?
So Moi was the name of the shop, and then we were thinking about doing some events. Actually, I think Pepi was the most active around that because he already had some experience with organizing some events. And Muach was also then a name for the small festival or the events that we organized. It was like maybe 200 people, mainly friends.
Wow. And you mean Pekka Muriati?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And like, how was it going? Like, how are you like doing? Because I imagine by this time, like now we have all these production companies here that you can just call and they bring you everything. But how to make it happen in the middle of nowhere?
Friends of friends, I guess, like, someone had some speakers or some sound system. With speakers or this like technical side, it was not a problem. I think everything was kind of like available also at that time. It was more community thing in a way that we didn't make like we had some Facebook page, but we wanted it to keep it like in a smaller circle. So we actually just spreaded some messages to our friends so that everyone could buy a ticket ahead, and everyone was looking forward. It was really like grew into a community of people that were super excited that something was happening in Brno, and it were really nice times.
And so you were like doing the event, also you're all playing? an event?
As we do now, like some of us at some point, we were changing, like one event I played, the other event Pepe played, and then we would host someone.
And this was like the time when did you come to Prague? Was like after this or during this you came to Prague?
It was when Sklenik stopped. We needed to, or we decided to move out from there because there were some problems with the owners.
So just to connect to the point, like Sklenik is the place in Brno.
Yeah, where the Muach shop was and where we hang out and played at the
Sklenik have a
cafe.
big history in Brno.
Yes.
It's like a place where people, like journalists and creative people hang out for many years ago. And so it's like have a historical
Yeah. It's a pretty special place. It's a building that has like I think 4 floors. There was a small club in the underground there, Cafe Sklenik, and then the first floor was like a tea room with our little store, and then there was like an atrium where some exhibitions were happening. So really artistic house.
Yes, that's amazing. So you left the place, moved to Prague.
As we moved out from Sklenina Louka, the area of Cabinet Mus just started because Cabinet opened, and we were asked to continue with our activities there. Pepe was running bars there, so at that time I moved to Prague, but I was still part of it. I was coming from Prague to Brno every other weekend because we would have some gigs at Cabinet Mus or around, so I would go often.
Prague for you, like when you came, was easy for you to kind of get on the local scene? You already had some friends here?
Few of them, but it was actually kind of hard for me because I moved here with my boyfriend, and he was traveling a lot through his work, and so I was kind of left in the big flat on my own, and I was like listening to music, digging, and I got some jobs, so I was going to work, but I didn't know so many people. So actually I was just looking forward for the weekends to go back to Brno to reconnect and to play and to be with friends. So the first year was kind of like lonely, I would say, but it became more easy. I met more people, connected with them, and they, as they discovered that I am there, they would invite me to play. So slowly, step by step, I would become part of the Prague scene, but very naturally, I would say.
And this is also because I know that you were in Radio 1. This is part of the time when you joined the radio.
Shortly after I moved to Prague, I think after 1 year, I played at Radosť, and there were some people from Radio 1, and when I finished my gig, I was asked what would I say about joining Radio 1 and having my show there. And at that moment, I was like this is not really right, because I was I saw it as a huge thing at that point. But shortly after, I got actually an email with an invitation to visit radio, and I was asked to join and have my show there. So I started broadcasting there in 2013, and it lasted for 5 years. I was there for 5 years.
Oh, this is so you didn't leave Prague for the 5 years. You were just staying here, going to Brno back and forth to kind of be grounded a bit, and would you say that the Prague scene was by that time big enough for you to kind of live from music and radio, or was still you need to fight and find jobs?
I would have some job usually. There were periods where I was living from playing, but usually I would have at least like a part-time job. But it was also connected with music. For example, I was working for Fono CZ, which is like a record store at Opatovicka. Yeah, near Gli. Yeah, so I was working there with guys, or I was working at the Museum of Music, which is part of the National Gallery here in Prague. So there is a cafe with a record store. So always I would find, these like part-time jobs around, yes, music.
So now we're gonna go to a very typical topic that everybody likes to hear about. Like, I want to talk to you about COVID before and after, but not also about the local scene, like the scene globally. How do you think it's changed, and how do you think it affected us, the advantage, disadvantage, and also affected you?
Mm-hmm. Well, when I'm thinking about COVID now, like it feels a bit unreal that it actually happened. And when it was happening, it felt like, will this ever stop or something like that? It's like such ambivalent feelings around that. And in general, like it affected me as a person for sure. And then connected with that also music-wise. So just before COVID started, I got my recent day job that I was working for 3.5 years. I just finished there. So I started this job, and I also started therapeutic training. And both things happened maybe 1 or 2 weeks before COVID started.
Wow, so lucky.
Yeah. So it was like the universe wants me to do this. So like two very different things, because this day job was really something that I would go Monday till Friday and spend 7 hours there. And so it got me more into normal biorhythm, and also the training affected me, that maybe both together gave me different perspective on how I spend my energy and time, on what things. And looking back to before COVID times, in 2019, I had like 90 plus gigs per year. So it was really a lot. So it was really a big change for me. And as everyone, I was shocked, and I was, struggling, because like music and playing was such a part of my life that it already felt like I was kind of losing part of me, or couldn't express myself in a way that I was used to. And that was natural for me. So got more deeper into myself, more connected with these things that I mentioned, and but not going out affected me, I think, as many people felt disconnected from friends and from the scene. I also was thinking how everyone stopped being in contact, and I really was thinking about community and friendship in general.
So during the COVID, you mean that?
Yeah. When it started, like it was such a change that I was thinking like I'm not in touch with anyone. Like, where is the community, and where are these friends that I have, for example, through music or so. But now I see like everyone was going through their struggles, or everyone was trying to handle their situation. So I think everyone was more focused on that. So the music and parties went totally off our lives, which was interesting, because as always I would try to think of another way to connect with music. So in the second wave of COVID, I bought first synthesizers, and I was getting more involved with playing music. And I saw it happening also around me, like
So
people
this was
got.
the first time for you to discover the production part from the music, away from the guitar, of course.
With electronic music, I took a course in Ableton before, but I never put it like further or never was working more deeply on my production or music. It was more that but I'm happy now that I still remember those things because I can still use it. But it was first time I was really thinking about getting more into creating my own stuff. And I also saw it around me, like happening, like some projects and some people who, would spend their time playing. And I think maybe also in general, that was some tendency, like, find some way. There were these streams that I, after a while, started to hate them.
Too much of them.
Yeah, it was everywhere. Like at first it was fun, but then it was like I don't know. It was just my.
I remember we had like nights because I was in Paris when this happened, and we had nights that we couldn't meet, but we would all like text and watch the same stream, so we feel we are together.
Yeah.
It was like streaming weekly nights, and then you so like for you basically the COVID was kind of good experience because you had the work, you were able to explore your production side. You got your first synth.
It was more sad than it sounds. It sounds more nicer when you say that, but for me it was very lonely times that I was struggling with being separated. It was super strange feeling because as I am from Slovakia, I can go visit my family, just sit on a train, and in 5 hours I'm there. But as they closed the borders, I couldn't go, to see my family, and stuff like that like affected me. Also, my former boyfriend is an artist, and he also lost his passion and things that he was involved with. So he was also kind of struggling with that, like losing his life that we used to have, like it was big part for me, music for him, like visual arts. And so I would say I was pretty depressed. I was trying to, there were phases that were good, like the training was giving me so much, and I could concentrate on, being healthy and getting more into yoga or a healthy lifestyle. But it was not easy, I would say.
Yeah, this is actually like bring me to something I wanted to also ask you about, because a lot of artists, even myself, during the COVID, our mental health was really destroyed because you had you couldn't create, you were just doing stuff and you didn't know what to do with it. And also the financial situation that there is no income and your mental health gets worse. And like, how did you shift your mental health from being this depressed and sad to actually creating and becoming now one of the best lifestyles locally here? And
I think it took me some time to go through it, and really there were these phases, ups and downs and everything, but the therapeutic training helped me a lot because it got me into a group of people that we were like working together and learning. So the learning process helped me to lift my mind, or how to say. And I think I was more more discovering myself from another point of view. I have discovered about myself that I am a highly sensitive person, for example, which is like quite common. I think there are 15 to 20% of the population is like that. But it really got me know myself more and got me know myself what can I do in my life differently to feel better. So I have discovered that I get overwhelmed very easily and I get overstimulated more than other people. And I need to like always get back to myself and recharge.
Grounding.
And do grounding, and so it helped me to understand myself more, because before that I would always hear like, you're too sensitive, but it didn't help me to be honest. So now I see it like it's a gift, but also it can be a struggle if you don't know that about yourself and if you can't really work with it in your advantage or so. So that helped me because I didn't know what is wrong with me. And I found my way to balance my life. So with mental health, I discovered I really need a proper amount of sleep and balanced life. So also with DJing, I started to be more careful about that. And in time, I would choose not to play too much night gigs. I tried to balance it out so that I don't waste my energy. I would also spend some time like more in nature, or just different ways of getting my energy back, and so that I can be more feel more good and
Recharge.
also to socialize, because also the gigs and socializing, sometimes some anxiety would come and I would be thinking like, where is this coming from? And I didn't understand it. I really thought like there is something wrong with me, but to discover this sensitivity about myself helped me to balance it more effectively.
And it's really interesting. And I want to, before we end this, we jump to your studio. Like the whole idea from we're doing this is to, of course, show a lot of things that people cannot know about, also to help people find you now. So nowadays, like, do you have a permanent residency somewhere in the radio, or people can just find you somewhere, your music, your new stuff?
Yeah, so nowadays I am a resident at Ankali Club, which is almost 5 years now, which is also like unbelievable, but I'm super happy to be part of it. Ankali is connected with Planetaza, so it's basically my home base, and I have my radio show on Radio Punctum. It's called Anemone, and
Is it weekly or monthly show?
it's bi-monthly now. It used to be monthly, now it's bi-monthly, and it's more of the listening and selection side of my, or how to say, it's more ambient-ish and more for listening. And I'm also a resident of Vitamin in Brno, which is like 3 dream places that I can be part of. Yeah, super happy and thankful for all of this.
And you have any releases soon? Any new music that people can listen to soon? Some secret plans?
I am working on my music. I still wouldn't name myself being a producer. I would say I'm a musician. But I am trying to put it in the form so that I can make someone to hear it. And I was asked to, actually, I have my first release. And
Wow, okay. This is good.
my first track was already released on the cassette, which is like a remix for Vont, which are friends from hardcore punk scene. I don't know if you know Vont. It's like an electronic but still connected to punk. It's kind of rough. Yeah.
And so, this is also digital or only?
It's on Bandcamp, but it's really my first attempt to do a remix, and it was released a year ago. So it's like, don't take it so serious. But it's
put everything and take it so serious.
But it's super nice to have it, and also now with the production or with music creating, I was asked to do some tracks for some compilations for my friends, but it's still in progress. I'm still learning. I have some work in progress things, and hopefully I will finish it and you will hear it soon.
Okay, we will put all the links for the stuff on YouTube, the 17 years old album. I will also so everybody can hear and start following you. Also, of course, you have an Instagram page. People can know stuff there.
Yeah. On SoundCloud, I also list my gigs, which is like, I think, the only place.
I have the gigs for the past 3 years, I think.
Yeah. It's also nice to go back through it if I want to remember it. But now I'm out of the space, out of the so I need to be deleting.
Okay. And now we're gonna jump to your studio.
Yeah, I'll show you what I have there. So this is my little home studio where it all started with playing and making my own music. Maybe I will just go through what I got first, were these Moog synthesizers, as I mentioned. I got them during the second COVID wave. And basically I'm still learning them and exploring because there is like a never-ending amount of options how to use them. And the way that I started or put the sounds together is through this guitar looper that I'm using, playing live. It's this electro harmonics where I basically record 2-3 sounds that I would start when I play live. I would start with, and then I would improvise around it. So this is like the central brain station of my live set. And everything is also connected to a small mixer, and it all goes through the H9 effect unit, which is also basically a guitar thing, but many producers and musicians use it also with synthesizers. I have this little reverb here from Old Blood Noise Endeavors, which I really like. And I usually use it with Mother. First keyboard that I got was a Microcork, quite a classic. I bought it secondhand from one guy online, and a recent keyboard that I got is this Oriental Yamaha keyboard, which I really like. It's packed with a bank of different Oriental sounds from percussions and drums and synths that I am playing around with. And what else do we have here? There is a little interesting thing that I have found at home back in Slovakia, and it's this Psycho Walkman from 90s, and it plays binaural sounds. So sometimes I'm also using this one. It's really nice. And recently I started using computer, so I'm learning to put the sounds together and make some composition out of it, and working on some tracks. Now I'm also using a microphone, my own voice, and also I'm sampling some spoken word. I really love it. For example, recently I used some spoken word from David Lynch from one interview for one project, or some spoken word from a movie, Frances Ha, that I have used. So I'm excited for people to hear it soon. And I think basically that's it.
So I have a quite like when you have some inspiration or you decide, okay, now it's time to make some music. Do you usually use something in the beginning that kind of start your process, or you just come and you throw your ideas on what you have?
So like my music making started with the playing live. It was even before I jumped into Ableton and connected everything with computer. So it started basically as jamming just on the synthesizers without a computer, and the whole idea is very connected to my forever inspiration Pauline Oliveros and her idea of deep listening, which is something that I already been thinking about, and then discovered she already did that. And it's basically about listening everything much more deeply and carefully, and being very present with what is played. And the whole idea of the live set is being in the meditative state, which brings me inner peace, I would say, and it really always helps me to calm down and being very present with the sounds and the creative side of me. And then I wanted to share that with people. So the live sets I played by now were kind of inspired or affected by that approach. And now when I started using Ableton, usually when I play a live set somewhere outside, I would pack all the things and go and play live. And then when I get back home, this table is empty. So when I have this creative mood, I will pick something that I feel like using at that moment and plug it into the Ableton and start just playing around with it in the software. And I think it's a good way not to have everything plugged in all the time, but really I enjoy the idea of having the empty table and to start with something that I feel.
Start all over again every
Yes,
time.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
have
yeah.
no rules that is like you have to do this or you have to play this instrument.
No,
Just more like.
I'm really changing it how I feel like.
And you like, just for our friends who produce while watching, do you like recommend any like kind of mental health practice helping you to focus and be creative, or you think it's just like a process that you have to go through? So like some maybe meditation you do or something that helps you to focus?
It depends. Sometimes it's really just sitting with it and just starting with one sound. As my music making is very minimalistic, I would say. I go around two sounds that go well together, and then I add little things to it and do the loops and create some construction or of the track from that. It's kind of hard to explain because every time it's different, and then I have an idea to add some spoken word to it or to sing into it. And also the practice with the singing, for me it's very helpful to connect or to get into some deeper or even meditative state of mind. So I really like to play with my voice and just like do some humming or, just like making some little noises or whispering or whatever I feel like. And I really love the Moogs because when I got it and when I opened the manual, one thing that totally resonates with me is this one sentence from Dr. Robert Moog, the owner and the person who started, and it goes like, I'm 100% sure that things like these synthesizers, even though they are not living in the biological sense, there is in some sense a consciousness that we connect with. And it really goes like that, like you keep it on for some time and it really changes the sound itself when it like warms up all the parts inside. So, and then I go very gently with changing the knobs, and the creation starts from being patient and being open to what comes out of the synthesizer.
I think it's very inspiring what you just read. It's very nice to describe the synth, because a lot of people don't understand that the synth is not is like an instrument that changes when you're playing it. It's not the same sound. And
I think it's special with this analog semi-modular stuff, and especially with Moogs. They have been with us since, I don't know, 60s.
beginning.
Yeah. So it's a big part of the history of electronic music, and I really love that they made these synthesizers that are available. You can buy them and connect with them in the present. Like it's like connecting with the history and with the way they were constructed. It's fascinating to me.
It's very interesting. Thank you for having us in your studio.
You're welcome.
Very inspiring to see you and your process. And again, everything Eva's doing will be attached to the video, so you can check it. And now before we end, we're gonna play you Eva's music, one of the violins, so you can listen to it before we finish. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks.